don't think I'm live. Now I think I'm live. Okay. So welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses. I think I may change New York to Flipping and Wholesaling Houses show. I am Michael Pinter. I teach you how to start making money flipping or wholesaling houses. And if you're already doing how to grow your business. So there is a secret method. It's not so secret when you hear it, but it's a system that most people are not talking about. Now you will hear people talking about wholesaling all day long, which is the process of getting properties at a deep discount, usually marketing direct to sellers, and you are then getting into contract and assigning the contract to somebody else, a cash buyer who's going to probably fix and flip it or fix and rent it. And then you're going to obviously hear about fixing and flipping flipping properties. But what a lot of people don't talk about is wholesaling, right? Now that's how I call it. It's really a mix between wholesaling and rehabbing or retail or selling at retail. And I'm doing it on 2 properties right now in my area. And I'm going to make good money on both. One of them it looks like I'm going to make really good money on. So what it is that you look at a property that may not be in great shape, right? Well, it's in good enough shape that you can get a mortgage on it, or it maybe needs a couple of things, right? So I bought properties like this that had, they were missing kitchen appliances, or the kitchen appliances were terrible. So I define wholesaling as something I'm going to buy, put less than sometimes I'll squeeze to $10,000 into it, and then I'm going to sell it retail. I am not going to fix it up to ARV, which is after repaired value numbers. I'm going to do very little work to it. Now, there's a couple of things. Outside of New York, this can be a very, very inexpensive method because closing costs are cheap, right? So if you have a hard money lender or a lender that's going to give you 100%, this could be very, very inexpensive. And I know people that in certain markets really they don't assign anything. They close on everything and then they sell it retail. It didn't make sense for them to sell it to a cash buyer because they're leaving a lot of money on the table. Now in New York, this is a very expensive proposition because, I mean, if you have a lender to lend it all to you, it's not a problem. But the closing costs on the buy, the eventual closing costs on the sale, and the holding costs are expensive, right? Holding costs are expensive if you're borrowing money because one of these properties I bought for $460,000, the other one I bought for $525,000. So the interest really adds up. But the reason why it works in New York and outside New York is because in New York, you're able to pay more for a property if you're going to wholesale it than all your competitors who are going to either fix and flip it or who are going to wholesale it. Now remember, wholesaling is always going to be less of a price to the seller than a fix and flipper will pay, right? Because the wholesaler is going to buy it at a certain price. They're going to assign it to a fix and flipper. So they have to be some spread for them to make money. But the way people look at a lot of properties, and I can tell you probably 95 out of 100 people who buy in New York look at it is, hey, how much is it going to cost me to get this to ARV level, to really make it great? Sometimes that's a lot of money, right? It could be $100,000. It could be more than $100,000 to fix a property. And I look at properties in multiple ways. So I look at properties and say, well, how much will it cost to get it to ARV? And how much would it go for as is? So on these properties, I'm doing minimal work to them, and I am wholesaling them to retail buyers, and I'm going to do great. Now, I prefer to do less work than more. Obviously, sometimes I have to do a lot of work to a property to get a profit. But the way I look at it is if I buy a property for a good price, I should have options. I can theoretically wholesale a property to a fix and flipper. So on both these properties, ironically, I sort of tried to wholesale them, like half-assed wholesale them, and just didn't work out. Each one sort of had a buyer, and they fell through. Then if I can't find a wholesale buyer, I can close on it and do what I'm doing now, which is do minimal work to it, if no work, or almost no work to it. On one of them, I think I cleaned it out. On one of them, I did the floors. So I think on one of them, I spent $5,000. On one of them, I spent $1,000. And then put it out retail. Now, on one of them, I'm a little iffy. So if I can't find a buyer to get me my price, I am going to start doing the work on it. But I think I can find a buyer at my price, or very close, where I have to really consider whether I want to do work to it to unlock all that value. The problem is when you start doing work, that things lead to other things. Things take more time than you think. It's an old house, so some work can lead to other work. If you're a fix and flipper, this is just the standard run of the mill. But if you're somebody who's just trying to make money on a property in the shortest period of time, then you really have to evaluate whether you want to take a quick dime or a slow quarter? That's really the question. So the method is wholesaling, which means we buy property, we close on a property, so we need to get funding for the property, and then we clean it up. Sometimes we paint it. Sometimes we'll fix a window. Sometimes we'll, on this property, I cleaned up the property and I painted one floor of the property. It's a two family, and then I redid the floors on that same floor. So it's not expensive. It's an interesting method. People don't talk about it, but it's something where, depending on where you are, it really could make sense. And it's a different way to value the property. Also, I'm usually able to pay more than people who are looking to wholesale, and sometimes very often I'm able to pay more than people who are looking to do a rehab, right? Because they have all this rehab construction all this time, and I'm going to be able to get it done sooner. So I hope this was helpful. I am coaching several people in learning how to flip properties right now. If you are interested, you can call me. My number's below. So I am looking to take on a few more students now in the next couple of months. And if you are interested, call that number. And please keep the comments coming. Please keep the likes. And thank you very, very much for watching. Please keep the likes coming, comments coming, and thank you very, very much for watching.